Daniel. This is Maggie Ma for US News Express.
Hi, how are you?
How are you? I'm good. First of all, can you tell us how did you get this role? What was the casting process?
The casting process was pretty simple. Lisa Joy called me and had me in mind to play this character. And when she explained the character over the phone to me, I said, "Oh wow, that sounds really interesting." She said, "I want you to play the villain, but I know that's a very stereotypical thing for Chinese American to play a Chinese character to play a Chinese gangster. But this guy is very different than anything that we've ever seen before, and I want to develop this character with you to make him very very memorable screen villain." I was like, "Okay, I'll take that challenge." Because I've always liked playing villains in the past. Probably you've seen some of my movies in the past where I play bad guys, and I've done really well playing bad guys. So I took that as a new challenge to do that here in the United States.
How did you know Lisa Joy? Did you work with her?
I didn't know her before. I just knew of her work from Westworld. I was a huge fan of Westworld. I liked the writing on that show. It's so intelligent, so smart. And I love anything that's taking a genre and kind of twisting it. And that's what they did with Westworld, and that's what they've done with this movie as well.
Right.
So, I was a big fan of her work, but I didn't really know her personally. And so when she reached out, I was really happily surprised.
Any experience differently, like working with a female director, like in terms of just acting or how she actually prepared you?
Well, I mean, it was very different working with a Chinese American director, right? She's female and Chinese American. And so what it felt like to me is like, I work with many Chinese directors in Hong Kong and China, and I work with many American Lao directors here in the US, but I've never worked with someone like me who's Chinese American, who experienced the same thing that I did growing up culturally, being both American and Chinese. Being an American ABC in China was very different because I wasn't the same as everybody else. I didn't grow up the same way, and people looked at me differently, right? And so, here there's somebody that we shared the same common experiences growing up. She is much more elevated. She went to Harvard. I only went to University of Oregon. So she's very smart. She lived the model life for her parents. But we shared so much in common that I felt like I was talking to my sister. And so therefore the collaboration part of it was really great. It was really fun to do. And she had a lot of things in mind because she goes, I want to change the image of the Asian American male. I want, your character to be scary and sexy and evil and all that, but I also want him to be extremely attractive and seductive for the audience. I want the audiences to like this character also, even though you're the villain. I said, that's awesome. That's great, because I think we do need to be conscious about how we're portrayed on screens in America, especially, for many, many years, Asian American males were often emasculated or stereotyped or whatever on screen. And so by giving me an opportunity to create a really fresh new character with that agenda in mind is a really cool opportunity. So
was it on purpose, like let the shirt just open and show your
that was Lisa. She kept, like, I had the shirt buttoned down here and she kept unbuttoning it further down. She said, "Oh, you have a six-pack, you should show it off." And I was like, yes. Well, I'm mid 40s now, so to be able to have a six-pack is pretty hard to do. So I guess I'll show it off,
So like you actually keep that routine to work out, right? It's not.
Oh yeah, I have to. Like right? At this age, if I don't do that, I'm going to lose it forever. So I train a lot. I train when I'm not working. I train 3 or 4 days a week. I train very hard, and it's just trying to maintain my youth,
What about the dialogue? Because I noticed there was some Chinese language added in, and was that on purpose? And no subtitle, but just to say it together with English and Chinese.
That was Lisa's design. She wanted to create this character that spoke in that way, and that's kind of reflective of really the present and the future. Like you see a lot of Chinese American students that come here or Chinese students that come here to study and learn English, or Chinese American kids that grew up speaking Chinese. They mix the languages together, whatever's easy to say in whatever language you do. And so even in Hong Kong, people were doing that, would do that. And so I don't think it's too far-fetched from reality. And then also on top of that, if you're talking about Mandarin being, one of the most prevalent languages in the world, and 20 years from now, what that's going to be, I think it makes sense that this character can speak Mandarin and assume that most people understand what he's saying.
Right. You have been very vocal about the anti-Asian hate movement. So I was just wondering, what was the thought behind that, and then what are you working on right now? Like, what do you think the Asian community in America should do?
So yeah, I mean, my point was to try to bring awareness to the situation, because I knew it was happening in the community. We all knew it was happening in the community, but the media was not covering it. No one was talking about, you know, our plight as an Asian American. And then when you dig deeper into it, you realize it's because of things like systemic racism and the model minority myth, and you know, oh, you guys have it good, you have nothing to complain about, so don't complain, you know, things like that. But also, you know, the problem with our community of, like, you know, the idea of just working hard and keep your head down, don't complain, don't stand up, was leading to us becoming victims, right? And so it was important for me to stand up, to get attention to the matter and say, hey, we're not taking this shit anymore. And this is terrible what's happening in the community. Our elders are being attacked on a daily basis, and nobody's recognizing that this is a problem. So that was my intention. And then now, you know, it's about slowly helping change the system that's messed up to help, you know, all people of color, not just Asian Americans. I mean, you know, there's tensions between all the communities, but the tensions are there because systemic racism has pitted us against each other. And so we need to slowly unwind and break down all those things, everything from education to mental health to, you know, how budgets are laid out for state governments, to attack all these issues and not just be complacent anymore. And so we're slowly picking at small little things here and there, because it's a long-term battle. It's not something we can solve overnight. And so we have to, you know, pick our battles, find the right things to fight for, and keep moving forward.
Yeah. So as for now, there are more and more Asian actors being cast for Hollywood movies, because they were trying to get more diversity. And I was just wondering, is it helping you to get more roles, and what you're working on right now?
Sure. I mean, I think definitely it's giving more opportunities for everybody in the community who's an actor and working. And so, like, we're all excited about that. You know, like when I went to Hong Kong in 1997, Joy Luck Club came out like a year or two before that. And then when I came back, Crazy Rich Asians came out a year after, but there was nothing in between. You know, so, but in the past 5 years, there have been a ton of things. We have like Minari, we have The Farewell, we have Shang-Chi coming out soon, and things like that. So things are changing and things are getting better. And so hopefully that is a permanent change and not just a temporal thing.
Great. So your next project and review?
Right now, I don't have anything lined up. Well, I'm actually working on Westworld season 4.
Oh, okay.
So obviously from my relationship with Lisa on the movie, to get into Westworld season 4, which is a show I really love. So that is fun. And after not working for 20 months because of COVID, it's been really nice to be able to be on set again.
Right. Thank you so much for your time.